Welcome to another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. It's your host, Eddie Arnell, my man, Mr. J. Luke. What's going on, J. Luke?
What's going on, baby? Tighten up, baby. Tighten up.
Tighten up, man. G Witter's out tonight, man, but we're going to hold it down tonight. So, J. Luke, man, coming into this week 14, man. We talked about it on the show, and I'm going to give a shout out to Will, man, because Will said it too. Will said this is the type of game the Titans would end up winning. So they came in, man, almost two touchdown underdogs, basically. Two touchdowns and a half an extra point, if you will. A tough and ugly loss last week, J. Lou. Lost some of your key cogs of your team, if you will. Didn't know about the King this week. Then he clears protocol. Of course, Stoney, man, the MVP of the team, arguably, and Big Jeff all out this week. How would the team respond, J. Lou, being an underdog, this big of an underdog? And like I said, man, we knew that this was going to be a typical Titans game, as they've always been, man. Titans 28, Dolphins 27, Monday night primetime tip, man. Come on in, guys. You keep joining us. We see y'all piling in here. Come in, get your questions and comments in. J. Lou, man, here's some interesting facts, man, and I want to hear your takeaways afterwards. And I know you saw this, man. 0 and 767 was the stat line for teams that are 2 touchdowns behind for the win, right?
Yes.
14-point deficit in under 3 minutes, at 3 minutes for a comeback. First road win for the Titans this year. A miraculous win. So all while overcoming 2 turnovers late in the game inside your own end of the field, where you gave up 2 easy scores, right? So, J. Luke, tell me about some of the takeaways, man, that you got from this game after this victory.
So first of all, they haven't mathematically been eliminated yet, but it's very, very slim. We might have just prolonged it, but I think you start. I mean, we've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. You start seeing what you can build on for the future. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, and I'll say it again. I hope Derrick Henry does sign. Talking to some of the guys that sit in the section with us, it's when you think about the Titans. Name me a Titan that retired a Titan, like a great Titan that retired a Titan. Don't include Bruce Matthews because he's from the Oilers to the Titans. But, we seen McNabb go to the Ravens. We seen Eddie George take a year with Dallas. So you would like to see Derrick Henry finish that. But I said it a few weeks ago that you were starting to see the changing of the guard with the offense. And you saw that again from, I think I text you about 4 minutes left in the third through the end of the game. Now granted, Spears didn't have a lot of running yards, neither did Derrick Henry. The Dolphins stout up front, they stopped the run, but you saw the dynamic that this offense is trying to change to, and what it looks like in the future, and how dangerous your running back needs to be out of the backfield. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Spears had over almost 120 all-purpose yards, and that's receiving and running. So I think that's a good takeaway, just seeing how fluid the offense moved. I bounce back and forth, man, and I don't. Granted, NFL is not college, so you can't run up tempo the entire game.
Right.
But again, it's been proven with up tempo, and if you read the articles last week, it's been proven with up tempo and with motion in his offense that Will Levis is the best version of himself. And the man went 9 of 11 on the last 2-minute drives of the game. And a stat for you, he was 4 of 6 on the first one, which means he was perfect 5 for 5 on that second 2-minute drive that actually had the game-winning touchdown. So I think we've got to see another way to incorporate tempo in the offense. And I'll leave my last one for offense when we come back. So my third takeaway would be, man, I still want him gone because I still think we need a new defensive coordinator. But you saw some things last night that I feel like he's been watching the show. We've been screaming about it forever. And the fact that you ran different types of blitz formations, different pressure formations, you didn't have Harold Landry in coverage a lot. You did that did you do that only because Big Jeff was out and you need to compensate for that? But I thought the defense, stat-wise, it wasn't the defense's best game. That best game was against the Panthers. But I think it was the best defensive game that the Titans have played all season long. And again, you heard the talk today and everything. Injuries happen. You didn't hear us crying about the defense getting ran on because we didn't have Big Jeff. You didn't hear us crying about not being able to flip the field like we used to because we didn't have Stoney. Yeah, Tyreek went out and he tried to give it a go, but You play with the folks that's on the field, and you still Miami still had some weapons out there on the field, and they still had the coach, who I think is a weapon when it comes to being an offensive genius. And let's just I'm called facts of fact. I think that the Titans outcoached him, especially late in that game. The Titans gave the game away. Miami gave it right back to us. Is the way that game went.
Right, right. So here's some mine, man. And I know people gonna say, what you talking about, man? But I gotta give a shout out. And I know Tim Kelly called a dumb game there right before the half, some 3 runs in a row, and somebody just mentioned it.
Yeah,
Will, appreciate that,
well,
Will. But you gotta give him his credit, man. Adding that motion to the offense, and they
man,
just didn't do it one time. They did it the whole game, and so
yes.
that's a different wrinkle. That is something we have not seen around here since probably LaFleur was here.
Hmm.
A lot of motion, a lot of things. They This was the first time I have seen in a while from this coaching staff, in particular on the Vrabel, that they adjusted the game plan to fit the skill set of their players, as far in
Yes.
particular Will Levis. And so
Yes.
got to give him credit for that. Will is tough, but he need to start getting down. He can't
Oh
take those big
gosh.
shots, man, trying to truck people. I understand, man. I understand he's that dog, right? He's got that dog in him. He wants to be tough and he wants to, be the leader of the team. So D Hop, I can't say enough about D Hop, man. D Hop he's that guy. He's him.
He is,
I'm
man.
him.
He's him.
So
Yeah, he's him.
hey, and I think you got to give credit, man, to Jalen Duncan again. I know he had a bad game last week, but I thought he really played well last night against Chubb. Now, of course,
Yes.
they got some pressure on, but only gave up 1 sack for the game.
Hmm.
Will has some pretty good pockets at times.
Yes.
Another thing that you saw too, I think that, here's Charles London again, give him credit for what he did, but getting Will to move out of the pocket
Out of the pocket. Yeah.
when he was under pressure. So
Hmm.
better job of coaching this week. Don't know why it took this long, man, to finally make some adjustments for this football team. But man, it was pretty interesting to see last night, man. So let's get over here and let me get some of these comments said, man. Said Eddie Gray said, if we had the Saints and the Indy back-to-back games, the division is still available.
I 100%
Uh,
agree.
yeah, Dion said, in his opinion, Will Levis outplayed Tua in that game. He's got less weapons and less pass protection. Play. Let's go back. You just mentioned something about Tyreek Hill, man. I'm gonna talk about that. Like you said, nobody gave us excuses when we had like 21 and filling the IR
Right.
sheet every week with
Yeah.
20 plus players. I mean, I get it, right? But that's not our fault that
No.
that you lose your best player on the field. We have to take advantage. Now, this is the first time, Jay Luke, think about this. This is the first time in a while that when a superstar player or the starter goes out, the person that they fulfill with, which would have been Waddle, most of it, and then some run game from Chan and Mostert, that they didn't beat us. Go
Yeah.
back to the Colts game where Anthony Richards got beat. What happened? Gardner
Minshew
Minshew comes
lit
in, the
us up.
backup. Usually the Titans are notorious for getting beat by a backup player. So again, you gotta give
That's
them credit, man.
and again, I'll harper on coaching. The run game, because so you saw the impact motion has on a defense when Miami had us confused with a lot of the eye candy motion they was doing,
It
and
was.
it was working with their backs out of the field. And to me, that's where the mismatch was. Once Tyreek went down, the mismatch was your speed running backs on our linebackers out of the backfield, and they
Whew.
went away from that, and you saw our defensive line start to eat. So to your point, I was like, and I think I'm being honest. I think Waddle was. I said it last week that it was good to see Hooker back to just bringing that hat.
You lit him up.
He lit him up, and this was the first game, and I think we talked about it last night, and you heard a little bit. Miami is a speed team, great team. Miami is a finesse team to me. This is the first time you've seen the Titans. They punched them in the mouth.
They did.
And you saw last night when if you punch Miami in the mouth, they cave a little bit. I'm telling you that, like literally, Waddle a few plays in the second half, he had the alligator arms because I think he was still feeling that shot from the first quarter.
Right, and you're right. This is the first time in a while that we've saw truly dominant in the trenches. Again, like I said, give the offensive line their credit. They had their issues, of course, they did.
Mm-hmm.
They still got the false start issues, man. I don't know. I don't understand that for whatever reason. Why we probably lead the league in
Yes.
false starts, and so. But let's take a look at this offense, man, for this particular game because Jayla, we talked about this in the offseason, and we hadn't seen it too much this season so far, but a 400-yard game for this offense, man. Tell me what you saw out there. That
I,
was, I mean, that went against what we normally see. I guess I would say.
so and I talked about it, I kept going back and forth between the game. I told y'all I jumped on ship of maybe let's get rid of Tim Kelly. Then I went back and watched and I said, you know what? Maybe he needs somebody in his ear like Schwartz was to help him
Right.
game plan. Because again, if you watch every single Titans game this year, I don't remember one when it was different. The play formations coming out of the second half are always going to be run, pass, or
Every
run
time.
like clockwork. So we've got to stop being so predictable. But I thought what you saw from maybe about the again midway through the third through the end of the game, you saw the creativity that this man comes up with. The 2-point conversion play. Go back and look at all 22 on
How
that.
many times have that been ran against us like that?
Man, so they literally you had Burke split out wide, who was running a deep crossing route, and you had NWI and Hop on the same
Hmm.
side, and Hop ran a veteran crossing route and took both men with him, where the only person that was taking NWI was the safety, had too much traffic. I mean, it was a perfect play call, and you saw that a lot. Somebody mentioned it in the chat about splitting Derrick Henry out wide. They ran that play formation with D Hop earlier in the game, came back to it, and
Same thing.
the creativity in that play, it was a great throw,
Yeah.
great catch, but the creativity in that play, you had Jalen Ramsey. When you every time we've seen Derrick Henry split out like that, they always either bring him back in or it's a screenplay. So I don't fault Jalen Ramsey for biting on the dig that Hopkins
They never
ran,
throw it to him.
and
Right.
they never threw it to him. So you saw the creativity come to play. I really feel like, and again, I don't know offhand. Will might have passed at least 30 times, 34 times, which is a high number that we say for the Titans.
38.
38. So I mean, close to 40. Now you were playing from behind. The game never really got out of hand to you to get away from the run game, because I felt like we used a lot of the short passes last night as an extension of the run.
Right.
But I felt like it was just the flow. He got into the flow that they need to bottle up that from the 4 minutes in the third quarter through the end of the game. Bottle that up, because again, I think the tempo, the way we switch it up, and Will Levis, I was almost upset that we went into let's sit on the ball mode in 2 minutes in second quarter,
I know, man.
because
Golly.
that's when he's his best. Got the ball back, and you saw what he did when he got it back and went and scored. So, and again, I agree with you on the offensive line. Will Levis faced probably the second most pressure he's faced since he's been playing. But I thought he handled it well last night. You see that started to turn from, and again, I thought you saw some of the routes help him. The one knock I'll have on him last night in the offense, he's got to learn to take what the defense gives him. And I'll be honest, I think you saw when you see that growth in him. I
Yep.
think you saw that in the fourth quarter with them 2-minute drives,
You
how
did.
many check downs he did to Spears and allow Spears to make some plays. But overall, man, it was just good to see. When the last time the Titans had 400 yards, and it was in a rhythm. And again, the Titans really was one dimensional last night, and
They
for
were.
a team that we continue to say that it's hard to get separation with these wide receivers, and I mean Hop is Hop, but the rest of them is hard to get separation. We beat a team when they made us one dimensional about passing, and that I solely believe that's because of the quarterback. I don't think anybody else on this roster could have done that. It had to turn into a passing game, and I thought Will Levis, he showed why he could have possibly been a first round pick rather.
A team that the offense that only scores 18.5 points a game
18.
hangs in and I know we're not talking about defense, but the defense kept us in the game, man, really.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
then, like you said, you got to give Will's got to. We were texting back and forth during the game, man. He's got to learn to take those checkdowns a lot more. He's standing in the pocket holding that ball, he's gonna get himself killed.
Yes.
Particularly when we're not pass blocking it as much as we can. I do think though they could have ran Henry a little bit more, try to give him a few more touches.
Yeah.
I know he has 17, but you got to like the big man with the toe tap on the sideline when he
Man.
talks.
So just think, that goes to show you Derrick Henry knows that his style of play has to
Gotta
change.
change.
And
Yeah.
if he adds that as a weapon, man, that's even more dangerous.
I think they bring him back, man. I really
I
do.
do
I
too.
really do.
I
They
do too,
they
man.
they work to bring him back. He still got some juice in the tank. I mean,
Yes.
think about it, man. He's number 2 in the league in rushing. And I hadn't seen the updated stats. He was going into this week. And
Mhm.
so think about that with this offense. Offense that averages I mean, it was 17 some points a game, but now of course it bumps up because they scored 28. First time in a long time, Jay Luke, we scored more than 27.
Yes.
Right. Once this year 27, last year against Green Bay, and then you had to go back until I think 19 or 20
20.
when they were averaging almost 30 points a game. And so to see that, man, is pretty interesting. And like I said, he still got some in the tank. Now, of course, he didn't have the quickness side to side lateral move like
Mm-hmm.
Spears, but he can still run between the tackles and bring a presence to this football team.
I
So I
tell you
mean,
somebody else. My bad. I didn't mean to
no, go
cut you.
ahead, go ahead.
Somebody else that I thought had stepped up last night too, and is starting to get. They're starting to come on more, and that's Chig. Been
I was
hard
going to
on him
mention
about the
Chig.
drops and all, but
Yes,
I thought
yes.
Chig played one of his better games that he's played in a while, and he's finally. You're starting to see some of these skilled players get familiar with Will Levis and build that rapport. I mean, I think that's only good for the team going forward.
I think here's what I think, man, and this is just my opinion. I think you see the confidence in these playmakers that we
Mm-hmm.
have because now you have a quarterback that can. I'm lagging a little bit. You got a quarterback that can get the ball out, get the ball
Yes.
downfield. They know he's gonna throw it downfield. You see
Uh-huh.
Tajay Spears, a great catch, great route last night,
Man.
and although he fumbled the ball,
Yeah.
but
Right.
him and Chib been putting in work. You break up Chib and putting in work on the jugs machines after practice. He
Mm-hmm.
mentioned it after the game, and so you see what happens when they put the work in. They start using these weapons they got, right?
Yes.
And then people being moved around. I love the way how he moved D Hop around, like you mentioned, in the slot.
Man.
Different sides of the field. Miami doesn't flip their corners, and
Nope.
so you got two of the best out there in the league,
And
arguably.
he gave them both that work.
And he gave them both that work and was talking trash about it too.
Yes.
So 403 yards of offense, man, for the Titans in this one. 328 yards passing. I'm
Mm.
sorry, 320 yards passing, and then 83 yards rushing. Only one sack, as I mentioned before. A couple of turnovers, man, that was bad. One
Mm.
in special teams in particular. Jay Lee, what about the pitch out to Henry? Good design, but I don't know if that, at that point in
At
time, it
that,
was crucial.
yeah, it was very crucial. High pitch from Will. But
Yeah,
King's got to bring it in. But that's where you saw the maturity of the team. You literally just gave up a touchdown on the punt muff punt, and then you come back the very next play after they score, and you give them in essence another seven. You're supposed to fold right there. So I think you saw the mental toughness with that team. I think the drive after that one was more important than the
that
final drive
was,
to go win because we've always seen. I mean, they got the ball back with a little under 4 left,
yep, yep.
and we've seen where you can. Teams are gonna give you space to get down the field because they want you to run the clock. And I thought they did a good job of using sidelines and being quick to get down the field and score and give yourself a chance to. You didn't have to burn a timeout at all on that drive, and I really think that drive won you the game, even though the next drive is what put you ahead. But I think you gave putting yourself in that position. And then shout out to Vrabel finally embracing analytics. We've been talking about it all year. My man did what everybody's supposed to do right now when you go for the win. He went for the 2-point conversion, lets you know he's going for the win because you know that 7 gets you the win the next play. And I don't think we see Vrabel do that 2-3 years ago. I think we kicked the extra point both times and go play overtime. He went for 2, and then, like I said, a great play design on the 2-point conversion for that. So,
But we were texting back and forth, but I was upset he didn't go for it on fourth down though.
yeah,
So,
yes, yes,
but he comes back and he goes for 2. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, analytics
analytics.
every time. uh, so Dion says it was a wonderful day. Nothing special happened, but the air was fresher, food tastes better. Bad things were okay, and good things were great.
I understand.
Eddie Gray says Tim needs to run the king to the edges, get an O line some help. I think that's too correct too. Eddie Gray.
That was a
For
touchdown. You
yeah,
saw
and you don't
both
see
touchdowns. I thought was one of them
right.
was Wildcat, the Wild King, but the other one
Uh-huh.
was right to the outside and to Eddie Gray's point. That's where Derek has been his best.
Is I think there. So you think about the offensive line that we have. A lot of not real bulky guys,
Yes.
more mobile. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought this was going to be a more of a zone run scheme this year,
Yeah.
but they've kind of gone away from that for whatever reason. And maybe he sees that going into another division game this week against Houston. And so, but again, give shout out to the coaches, man, for this game and offensive preparation. and then letting Will throw the ball and go down the field. As you can see, like you mentioned, man, you pick up the tempo because they started doing a little no huddle them last
Mhm.
couple drives in the game, and they were able to move the ball. And I think we got our QB, man.
Man,
I think we got our QB.
I think it was Dion or somebody said it earlier. It was good to see a quarterback take over the game. I tell you the other thing I like. When was the last time you seen when they go hurry up 2 minute drive like that? They actually left the king in on that last one.
They did.
They brought him
I
in
was
on that
shocked.
one. And that me too. Like I was like, wait a minute, is this the same team we used to seeing? So being able to see him get involved that way, because again, he is your weapon down there in that red zone. So I was glad to see that. I thought again, I don't know what switch flipped for Kelly outside of the pitch call. I thought from the last 3 minutes of the third quarter to the end of the game, especially the last two drives, was some of the best play calling he's made in the whole season.
He has some. I mean, some of the plays, man, were great. I mean, the route
The route
concepts,
concepts.
even the run game when Tajay was in the game. Of course, he runs a little
Yes.
bit different run scheme with Tajay. They call different run plays when
Mm-hmm.
Tajay's in there because he's got a different skill set than the King. But yeah, man, like I said, you really we got to take. I know we bash him a lot on this show about the decisions they make as far as coaching and being prepared and making changes during the game, but. Shout out this week,
Shout him
man.
out.
You gotta
Yeah.
gotta give it to him this week. So let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball, Jay Lucas. I thought early on, before Tyreek got hurt, I thought they did okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew that we were going to see them playing the off coverage, the shell, the two high safeties, because that's how they used to play Kansas City, right?
Yes.
And I like the fact that we were still able to generate some pressure up front, but then Bowen switched it up a little bit, man. So let's talk about the defense and what you saw in the game last night.
So we talk about coaching, and we've been saying the whole time, Chris Harris, that's our DB coach, right?
Yep, yep.
We've been saying the whole time, there's no way that Chris Harris is this bad of a coach when he was so sought after. And
Right.
I thought last night you saw that come to fruition. Now, did they get beat? Did they have some opportunities? Yes. Everybody, it's the NFL. I mean, Jalen Ramsey got beaten. He's one of the best in the league. But I thought to have Trey Avery out there, who again, it didn't dawn on me. I forgot Fulton went out with the hamstring, so he
Right.
wasn't available. But I thought Avery held his own. Sean Murphy Button is what he is. Again, we said it last week. We
Right.
like it because he's physical. He
But he gonna
gave
get
up a PI and then came right back and made a play in the end zone to break up a pass, and he was sticking his nose everywhere.
yeah.
And then again, Roger McCreary is by far the best DB that he's played the best all season. So I thought the DBs, to your point, looked good. We said it last week that we were going to run, and I kept texting it. We're going to run this bend but don't break offense. I mean, you literally a defense.
Defense,
You
yeah.
literally have the best defensive red zone team in the league going against the best red zone offense, and they went 2 for 5 in the red zone, and literally the 2 was a 7 yards because you turned it over, and then the 12 yards because you turned it over. So your defense was good within the 20s. I'll tell you who. Go back and look at that last drive that
Mhm.
that Miami had. We talk about him a lot on here. Rashad Weaver. The stunts did a great job on how they stunted against Tua, and how
Yes.
their stunts were funneling everything back inward.
Mhm.
Which we've been complaining about that because we don't see it. And Miami, now granted, they've got some linemen that went out and went hurt and got hurt, but I felt like our D line did what you're supposed to do, take advantage of them. I thought the linebackers played well. Now again, out of position sometimes, and there was no way that, like, we were probably our fastest person was probably sixth fastest on the field when Miami had on their offense out there.
Right,
So
right.
they had some speed, but I thought you saw. I think no, I don't think I know what you saw from defense. I guarantee you in that defensive meeting room, because Big Jeff was on the sideline yelling. They kept saying, "Hey, they might be fast, but let's punch them in the mouth." And I think you saw that a lot last night when we were flying to the ball and them boys was hitting. But again, I thought Bowen. I still think that D coordinator's not him, but I thought that was one of his better games that he called. And again, for our DBs to hold their own again, even with Tua going out, they still had speed, they still had weapons. You never. This is a stat for you. Miami had 3 X plays, so X play is anything greater than 20 yards.
Right.
Miami had 3. The Titans had 7. That's all you need to know
Figure
about
that
that
out.
game. Yeah, figure that
A
out. That's
team
all
that
you need
is
to
number
know.
1 statistically in every offensive category in this
Yes,
league.
you held them to 3 X plays. So overall, like I said, and then say which say, if you pay attention, we've been talking about it on the show the last couple weeks. Everybody was ready to tear up Harold Landry's contract at the beginning of the season. He said what he's supposed to say, that he's healthy, because he's a football player. He's supposed to say he's healthy. I think he had 3 sacks last night, and one of them that should have been a sack. That
Yes,
bend, he was on
that
the
was nasty.
ground when
That
he
was
bent.
nasty.
So I think Harold is finally rounding into form. I think that put him up to 8.5 on the year. Danico has 10 sacks on the year, and you even saw Arden Key have some great pressure. And I really thought, until he got hurt, and he's probably done for the season, Pecco. I
His
thought
best game by far.
easily his best
By
game.
far.
I thought those guys held up well up there. The young man that they just brought back, who had the comments on social media,
Oh, yeah,
Jalen Johnson,
Johnson.
he the
Uh-huh.
one that causes the fumble down there when Tua
Yeah, on
has the
tour.
messed up the messed up snap. So overall, I thought, to your point when you said it in the beginning of the show, the defense kept this game close and kept you in it. Strictly based off how they played once you got into the red zone. And that's all you can ask for your defense. I mean, anybody knows math, 7 beats 3 every time. And if you've got them kicking field goals or 2 for 5 in the red zone, that's an opportunity. I mean, I'm be honest, because we've seen it happen.
Mhm.
When we went down, when we needed that stop before the 2-minute warning, I'm like, okay, they're gonna find a way to get a first down. They're gonna find a way to get, and the defense bowled up, and then even the next drive, okay, all they gotta do is get a field goal to score. The defense bowled up again, and it was a great call on that 4th down where you stun it, and even Landry fake stun it, and then drop back to a spot position. Tua runs right into him because, again, your rush was funneling it in. So I thought overall the defense had a great game plan.
Right. And like I said, you saw the shell coverage from Bowen. I thought he did some good things too, as far as mixing up, especially when Tyreek went out of the game. They kind of doubled Waddle some, took him
Yeah.
away. You saw Cedric Wilson get some deep shots against SMB, but like you said, he had a DPI, comes back and breaks the play up in the end zone. You have to give credit again. So here's the problem I got. So the tackling was great last night, but we don't see that.
Yeah.
Inconsistency, the best. And again, you mentioned about the red zone. The Dolphins was on 2 of 5, 3 of 5,
2 of
something like
5,
that in the
2
red zone.
2 of
Yeah, 2 of
5.
5, 4
Yeah.
of 13 on third down. And
Mhm.
so that's where you can win football games right there. When you
Yes.
can hold a team from, like you mentioned, they get down there. Jalen Johnson causes a sack and strip of the ball on Tua. They get down there and hold on the field goals and other times. Now, of course, they scored twice on those turnovers, but at that point, the game wasn't out of hand like you mentioned. And so, man, you just got to give you credit, man, to this defense. Gibby is still showing his liability
Yeah.
as far as his speed goes.
Oof.
Man, you knew we going to see it. You knew we were going to see
yes.
it when playing in this game. And this track meet, this speed that this team has. And so, but yeah, give them credit, man. Give them credit when they earn credit, because they held their own. Number 1 red zone defense, as you mentioned, number 1 red zone offense in the league. And you hold them to 27 points when they were just blowing everybody out, basically.
Yes.
And were a two touchdown favorite. 366 yards of total offense for the Dolphins, man. 208 passing, 158 rushing. Now, I saw, you saw it too, how Mike McDaniels tried to muck it up. He tried to be physical and run the football, but that's just not their game. Like you said,
that ain't their game.
team, right?
Yes.
Team. 5 sacks on the day, man, which was great. And then you just like the overall game. Yeah, I know they gave up stuff, man. And we've been talking about that on the show forever. Is that you just got to live with this bend don't break defense, because that's what they run. That's what they run, right? And I agree with you, Dion. Is when we stop dropping Harold Landry in the coverage, you'll see a better Harold Landry, as we saw last night. So, man, let's get to special teams, man, because you have Kyle Phillips, which I know he's had his issues with special teams. Kearis Jackson, man, where is he? He's been hurt for weeks. I mean, since week 3?
Yeah.
Week 2, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Garoppolo makes a bonehead play, and you could, if you read the lips of Brady, he's like, you can't be over there. I'm gonna give you the clean version.
Yeah.
You got it out the way. But the new punter, man, Ty, he did pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he did pretty well, all things considered. I mean, we're spoiled by Stoney, no lie, but I thought he did well. I thought that number 40, Kendall. I thought Kendall, and I thought my Skyhawk brother and Dow, they played
gunners,
well, man, great gunners. You see why he keeps being active. What you like about Guerra is, even after that play and that tongue lashing he took, granted he almost bobbled the other one because he had the yips by then. He recovered and he actually had a good return
He did. He
on
did.
that one. So I thought all things. I mean, you see the block from Danico on the field goal. I thought special teams was a little bit better. Everybody was worried about punt coverage because I mean we saw the blocks last week.
Right.
To your point, I thought they did a good job getting them off and going from there. And then what can we say about Nick Folk? We literally are a extra point away from beating the Colts last week if your partner don't get hurt before that. But Nick Folk is still perfect from extra points and field goal kicking. So I thought special teams overall played well, minus that. And again, the bonehead decision. We've seen the team that beat the team, and I was like, oh, here we go. And yet they found a way because of your quarterback to be able to put it on his shoulders and come back.
Yeah. When we first signed Nick Folk, man, we was like, man, this guy, he's a veteran in the league. Is his legs still the same? And he's consistently been making field goals and extra points for us. Now, he missed this one a few weeks ago, the 51-yarder. But other than that, man, he's been on it. Of course, he missed the extra last week, like you mentioned. But
the irony of that is
holding the ball.
we got him for a 2025 7th round conditional, and New England has been holding kicker tryouts because the rookie that they kept over him has not been good for him. So thank you, Bill Belichick, for that.
Virgil said that we see McCurry playing safety last night. Yeah, so Bowens changed the stuff up last night, man. You saw Molden in the slot a little bit last night. Something he was doing when he first came into the league. You saw a few different little matchups. You even saw Hooker playing more in the box area, a little bit, 10, 15 yard curl area, hook zone areas, a little bit like that. And I think that's why you saw him blow Waddle up in the middle of the field because he was there.
This is one of his Hooker ball last night. Yes. Like there's no other way around it. He balled last night.
No doubt. And so as we look at the AFC South, man, overall standings, Jags 8-5. Of course, they lose to the Browns. The Texans go down, and CJ Stroud gets concussed against the Jets. The Colts go down to the Bengals. Titans at 5-8. You got the Texans and the Colts 7-6, tied for second. Interesting AFC South standings, man. At this point, I know we said there's minimal hope still alive, but a lot of stuff would have to happen.
Yeah.
The best thing the Titans can do is win out. So, J. Lou, here's a question, man. You see it on the ticker right there, and for the folks out there, is this the turning point for the season? Is this the turning point for the Titans? They needed a victory like this. They needed to show. You saw a glimpse of what the potential of this team could be when you have the right coaching. And you got guys making plays all over the field.
Agreed.
And so, is this the turning point, Jay? Look, could we see a little rally toward the end of the year? And I know people get mad because they want to get the high draft pick. Why are they winning? And even we joked last night that they can't even tank correctly.
Can't even tank right. They can't even tank correctly. So they got one more monkey to get off their back, and that would be stringing, to your point, stringing wins together, because I don't think we've had back-to-back wins all season long.
Don't think so.
Yeah, so they would need to come out Sunday, a short week. Now you'll be in those pretty Houston Oilers uniforms against Houston, so that they're juiced up for this game, coming off a loss. And the best thing you can do right now is continue to play spoiler and build for the future. Yep. It all depends on how we come out Sunday. This should be the turning point because you've been. And you saw the energy after the game. I mean, it was a different vibe than any other normal win. Now, granted, you ain't had a successful flight back home since November of last year. So it's always good to get that one. How can you build and carry on? Because you got stuff to clean up, but you've got stuff that you did well that you can continue to build on. So you've got to see them come out. But I'm like you. You've got 4 games. Yeah, 4 games left in the season. Technically, you've got 4 games remaining against teams that are currently in the playoff hunt.
You got 3 division games.
3 division games, and then
the
Seattle.
Yeah.
So you don't have no slouches that you're playing now. Again, the Texans could look a little different with David Mills than Stroud, but I mean they still tough. That defense is legit.
Yeah.
Stroud or no Stroud, that defense is legit. So and then you get the Jags and of course Seattle is legit. So you've got some measuring stick games. And again, at this point, a lot of stuff would have to happen for you. But at this point, you're trying to play spoiler and just take some momentum going into the next year. We talked about it earlier in the season. We was talking about rebuilds and everything, and I used the Detroit Lions, who we
Yes.
talked about 2 or 3 years ago. They won 16. Last year they went on a losing streak, but ended the season good. And now look how they've done now. Momentum is a real thing, and I think you could carry that over. So it'd be good to build. You want to stay healthy, go win some football games, and build on that. Because again, think about this: our team, the Titans, leads the league in rookie snaps for the year. And to your point, we teased about the draft picks, and everybody was, you got those fickle fans who were upset that you win. I wasn't upset we won. When I like to pick top 5, yeah, but I'm always gonna take a dub over that.
Right.
But
Right.
I think one thing you're discrediting, let's just say if Rand can have even a half of the draft that he had this year, because he only had 6 picks. You've seen all 6 draft picks play.
Contribute.
And to me, that's why I say all of them have contributed and been successful, even down to your 6th round tackle that wasn't even supposed to be on the field this year. At one point in time on offense, you have 3 rookies on the field at the same time. No, 4. I'm sorry, I forgot about Peter. You got 4 rookies on the field at one time. So continue to get them that experience with this December type playoff football. And I think that can only build for success. But glad to see them get that monkey off the back as far as the road game. And I think now you figure out a way to string some games together to really make that turning point.
Yeah, and I saw, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but I saw Throckmorton get in for Brunskill last night. Didn't know Brunskill got hurt, but he came back in the game. I thought he did pretty good.
Yeah,
all right.
I think Vrabel today, when he was asked about it in his press conference, he said they wanted to get a bigger body in there to see some things because they kind of rotated the guard spots. And we know Brunskill's been dealing with some injuries anyway. But to your point, I thought he held up pretty well when he was in there.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you, Edgar. He said he's not gonna get too high about this, man. But but they still playing hard for Vrabel. Yeah. So you see,
yes.
And so all those folks that are saying that he lost the locker room and and all this all that stuff, man. You see, they still out there playing hard.
They're still out there playing.
They're not gonna go out there and lay down and tank the season away. They're gonna keep fighting and punching you in the mouth. And I was saying last night, if Big Jeff played last night with the injuries that the offense had on their offensive line, I don't even know if they would have had 27 points.
Yeah, no, because he would have ate. That D line was eating, and he would have ate.
Yeah. So you got the Houston Texans coming in this weekend, J. Lou, man. Like you mentioned, tough defense. DeMarco's been a great head coach for that team, a young upcoming team. Of course, they've just lost a few games by 1 scores. Been in pretty much every game except for this last. Of course, CJ Stroud goes down with a concussion. Don't know his status, but again, here's the opportunity for Davis Mills to play. We know, again, I mentioned, we know how we do against backup QBs when they play against us, man. We don't fare too well. Now, the only advantage this week, J. Lou, is that we have a head start on the game plan, right? We know that there's potential for Davis Mills to play this weekend. But Houston is good against the run, only giving them 95 yards a game. And could be a game to where you see another high output from Levis slinging the ball around if the run game can't get going. But I think you have to press the pocket again. You got to get to Davis Mills. The Texans are going to be aggressive. They got a young coach. They're still in the division mix, so they're going to play aggressive. Yeah. They got a lot on the line. We're not expected to win, I would think, when the line comes out. And so, you gotta. I want to see the same thing, the motion, all the stuff that we saw last night, man. Don't go back and change it up because now you're at home and you're not playing a prolific team like the Dolphins, one of the better teams in the AFC. Right. But you go back to that, run, pass mentality and not starting to, open up your offense like you did last night.
Yeah, no, I want to see a little bit more play action on first down because I think that's how you change the predictability. Everybody expects you to run, pass, especially when Henry's back there. So probably mix a little more of that in. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more press. The Texans don't have a receiver that should fear you. I mean, I know Tank went Dale went out, and I think they lost one more. Nico, I think they lost him. So they don't have a receiver that's a burner. From that standpoint. So, I expect SMB to have another penalty, but I like his aggressive play. I would rather have those than us continue to get burnt or be out of position. And again, this is a game because Houston does have a good running. Damian Pierce, is that their running back?
They got Pierce and what's the other
What's
guy
the
he
other
take
guy?
it from Buffalo. Yeah, I'll get
Okay,
his name. Go
yeah, but
ahead.
so I would assume that they would try to run the ball, especially to take some pressure off Mills.
That
So
was Singletary. That's
Singletary,
it.
okay. So
Yep, yep.
our run game's going to have to be strong. Because I again we fared well last night. Now again, I say we fared well. It still gave up over 100 something yards. And they were averaging like 5 yards a carry. But to me, it wasn't nothing that was so impactful. And a lot of their runs came on the outside. So I think we'll have to play well there. This has the makings of being a turnover, low scoring game where special teams, in which the last 2 weeks our special teams have had some hiccups. This can be another game where special teams can be very important. But I agree with you. I think you have to, when you say you want to see motion and everything in the offense, you're actually saying what I'm saying. We want to go ahead and continue to see the changing of the guard of the offense. Now, again, I'm not saying remove Derrick Henry, but you've got to find a different way to use him. I would to Eddie. I think it was Eddie Gray that said see more outside runs. We've
Hmm.
went away from what that was working in early in the season when you saw a lot of the guards pulling or tackles pulling and getting on the outside. So let's see some of that, and again continue to take the shots downfield because they will be there. But to your point, you don't want to have a letdown. Kind of glad that you're getting the Texans because Miami, that's a high emotional win. You went on Monday night, wasn't supposed to win, being a 2 touchdown underdog. Now you coming home to a team that's their fans are gonna hate you because of the uniforms you're wearing, and it's already just bad blood there.
It's
Period.
already.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
again, you would think that Tim Kelly can give you some tendencies on David Mills because he had Davis Mills looking like his best version of himself when he had him down there. So look some tendencies you can look for, but I expect this to be a lower scoring game than last night, and I think it's a 3 point swing either way.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. It's gonna be a tight game. Whoever can make the most
Yeah.
plays, it'll come down to. Let's see. Virgil says, "Do you think that the Levis puts the O line at a disadvantage when he snaps the ball with 1 or 2 seconds
Yep.
left on the play clock?"
So it
Yes,
was a running joke about that his heart counts are so good that he's drawing his team offside.
I know that's crazy.
Now he's no Peyton Manning, and Peyton Manning
Right.
did it. And it was funny hearing Taylor Wan say that last night that offensive linemen don't like being in that stance that long. But I think they've got to find a way to get him. That ball need to be snapped between 10 and 8 seconds left instead of running all the way down because he's hard counting so much that I feel like some of those false starts, you're hard counting. And again, offense, you're supposed to know the snap. I get that. But I think sometimes when you're in that position so long, you're ready to go. And it's just, he's a second or two too late to me.
So they got to get out of the huddle
Yeah,
quicker.
that
So I
too.
don't know
That
what's
too.
taking so long getting to play in. Like, and it goes back to something we talked about before on the show, man. Is that they run so many different personnel
Personnel.
packages.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that puts you at a
Yeah.
disadvantage. Point case about getting to the line of scrimmage, having the offensive line sitting there holding that stance for so long, and you go through these hard counts and you changing the blocking
Yes.
and you changing, the blitz pickup and all those things. So yeah,
And
it's
which again, I'll give him that because it's you have, and again, I'm no Malik knocker. I've said I want him to go somewhere else that can develop him, but that right there to me is the difference between Malik and Levis when they said he came out and was in a pro set. He's
mhm,
calling out blitz and doing what a quarterback, but you wouldn't expect a rookie quarterback to be doing as well as he's doing. But to your point, the operation has to be faster, and it starts with getting the play in. But when you got 40 seconds as soon as the play's dead, it's taking you
right,
10 seconds to get the right personnel off and on the field, then getting the play. So yeah, they've got to
right.
find a way to speed that up.
Because you already know what teams are going to do. I
Yes.
mean, you saw when teams started really pressuring us after the Falcons game. You saw that the team started amping up the pressure.
Uh-huh.
Starting with Tampa Bay that next game, man. And I mean, that's what they're going to do. And so
Yes.
he's got to get to the line. He's got to get the calls made. He's got a makeshift offensive line, if you will, that are trying to communicate and get things. Because you got half the side is a rookie side,
Mm-hmm.
the other side, your right tackle is different, and your right guard is different throughout the game sometimes. And so it's a lot going on up there, and they've got to do better. getting the plays in and out. Yeah, and outside the zone and pitches to the king, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Getting them to the outside. I think too, what you see with Derrick Henry, and I know he's doesn't have that explosive speed he used to have, and you can see it really when he tries to bounce it out. I think that's why you don't see him bounce
Bouncing
it
too
too
much.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to me, of course, I'm looking at it from the TV, when they're on the road, but it looks like he could get to the corner if he
If he
tried.
tried.
And I'm not saying he's not seeing it, but to me, it looks like that way. And of course, he can see what's going on better than we
Yeah.
can from what we sit. But yeah, I really think they need to change up and start looking at it to that point. But yeah, thank y'all, man. We'll say our corners will find their way for a no-name receiver like Marvin Harrison. You right. So last night, I don't know if y'all noticed it. We were talking about it back and forth on text through the game. That last night our secondary looked like it did last year. We had Garrard on one side, we had Avery on the other side because SMB had went out. McQuarrie was in the slot. I was like, we in trouble.
Yes.
But shout out, man, to Avery and Garrard. Even Garrard had a few bad plays, and he made some good things happen. And so overall, good team win, all three phases. I know Bray repeats that all the time about being good in all three phases, and I think you saw that last night, man.
Mhm.
Thank y'all again for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie on there, Jay Luke G with us out tonight, man. He'll be back with us next week. Got the Texans coming in this weekend, man. AFC South Division game, week 15 at home. The Powder Blues back out again. And should be a very good game, good atmosphere. I think the weather's going to be in the 50s. So,
Yeah.
I mean, shout out, man, to those that, the Titans lost Wycheck this week.
Yeah,
Sad
news.
deal there. And then prayers and condolences go out to those who suffered, man. The tornadoes came through here over the weekend. If you live in Nashville, the Nashville area, you know that we had a big rash of tornadoes come through, man. Devastate a lot of homes.
Yes.
And people
mile away
lost
from me.
lives.
Mile away
Yeah,
from my
mile
house,
away
so.
from him. I mean, so prayers and condolences to those folks as well. Dion, I'm sorry, man. Columbia Blue. My bad, man. We love you, Blue. We love you. So, thank y'all, man, for joining us tonight for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Thank you for the comments and questions, man. Support of the show. Man, if we did something different tonight, we were broadcasting live on Twitch and Twitter tonight, or X tonight as well.
Yeah.
So appreciate those that joined us from there. Man, be looking out for us coming back again. But we'll be back, man, next Sunday after the Texans game to talk about that game. Another dub, possibly. We'll see. Could be the turning point. The Dolphins.
Can we finally get a winning streak?
Can we finally get a winning streak? Titans, week 14 in the books, man. Titans 28, Dolphins 27. Halftime adjustments. Eddie Arnett, J. Lou. We out here, man.
Peace.
Peace.